Hi everyone, hope you had a great Christmas and New Year. This is my annual lament on the Radio Times. For those of you that don't reside in the United Kingdom, the Radio Times was first published, or the first issue went on sale on the 28th of September 1923. So getting on for 103 years ago. And obviously the inception of this magazine, I think they described it as the official organ of the BBC. At the time, there were 6 BBC radio stations in the UK. I think regular radio transmissions started, I think, in about sort of 1921. So there was 2LO for London, 5IT in Birmingham, 2ZY was the call sign for Manchester, 5NO, November Oscar, for Newcastle, 5WA Cardiff, and 5SC, Sierra Charlie for Swansea. So those were the 6 radio stations of the BBC back in 1923, and the Radio Times was the official organ, as I said, as they described it, of the BBC, and would carry schedules and articles, etc. In fact, somewhere around here, I've got a PDF sort of facsimile of the very first issue. I think as early as mid-1930s, they also started listing experimental TV transmissions, and I think in 1936 the kind of official regular BBC television service started, before it stopped again in 1939 because of the Second World War. But it started as the Radio Times. Obviously it started because of AM radio, and in the UK for decades there's been a bit of a tradition that even if you don't generally buy the Radio Times, which probably a lot of people don't now, I'm guessing that the circulation numbers are much lower now than they were, back in the 60s and 70s, you sort of tend to buy the Christmas edition, and that's something that I tend to do. So although this brilliant magazine started because of AM radio, my annual lament that there's almost no references to AM radio anymore still stands, and there'll be one less in December of this year. The actual amount of information in terms of radio programming is exactly the same as last year. It even starts on exactly the same page, 252, same as the 2024 edition, 2024-2025 edition. But yeah, it's just it's sad for me to see so little reference to AM radio anymore. It covers all the main BBC stations, including things like Six Music, etc., Asian Network, which is on medium wave actually. But the only actual references to AM radio is BBC Radio 4, 198 LW, 198 long wave, BBC Radio 5 Live on 693 and 909 MW, medium wave, which is something I do a lot. I listen to the football on the radio. I actually prefer to listen to football on the radio than, not prefer, but I enjoy as much listening to the matches live on the radio as I do watching it on TV, actually. And then there's TalkSport, 1053 and 1089 kilohertz, medium wave, the old BBC Radio 1 frequencies before they went to FM and DAB only, etc. That's it. So that is literally it. And this time next year, I think it's highly likely that Radio 4 will have stopped on 198 kilohertz, although it's not. They're saying that I think the 28th of September is when Radio 4 is going to close on long wave, but they're currently, or at least planning to do some impact studies. So it's not absolutely cut and dried yet, and there's a couple of movements trying to save Radio 4 on long wave, of which I'm part of, because I'm supporting it. But yeah, just sad times really. They call it progress, but the fact that this whole institution, BBC, started with AM radio, obviously a technology that's 120 years old now, And you know, time moves on, technology moves on. Maybe I'm just stuck in the past, because for me, nothing will replace AM radio. And fortunately, there's still quite a lot left on medium wave. And as you would have seen in one of my previous videos, the fact that Radio Nacional España has closed down on medium wave has opened up lots of windows actually for DX. I think they were present on 33 frequencies, so that gives you some idea. And some of their signals were some of the strongest on medium wave as copied from the UK. So that's every cloud, silver lining, etc. So that's one sort of positive outcome. Although, don't get me wrong, as I said in my video, I'd much rather Spain was still on medium wave, but there you go, that's just how it is. So yeah, let's see what happens at the end of this year. Fingers crossed that Radio 4 doesn't close in September, that there's another stay of execution. And when I do my annual lament on AM radio and references in the Christmas edition of the Radio Times, that maybe the characters 198LW will still be there. Let's see. Anyway, that's my lament over. I hope you all have a great 2026 and look forward to catching up with you on the channel with the comments, etc. So other than that, I wish you all 7-3.